truth you find is the key now. Reach your fear and you will all be free now. Community, it's time to get better. You can't avoid it, we're all in this together. Head high, fill your heart with love and light now. Come together and it will be alright now. Come together, you can't run forever. Come together, it's now, oh, it's never. Community, kids are dying in the streets now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Community, kids are dying in the streets now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need.
Chris Sanders, Community All Unite TV, every Thursday from 8 to 8:30, and we are here again with another great interview where we're focusing on politics, East Orange politics, by the way. And then we have Simone Jelks-Bandison, and she's going for East Orange second ward, right? Second ward. And I had to, read that because there's so many different wards in East Orange. And she was telling me a little bit about it before we got on the air. And I said to her, it's going to be a beautiful conversation. We want to know your story. We want to know why you got to this point of where you are now, trying to run for councilwoman. And we want to know, your pitfalls. We want to know your successes. And we want to know why and what got you up at 4 a.m. to come to this place for this interview. So please tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate your time. And yes, my name is Simone Jelks-Bandison, and I am a resident of East Orange, New Jersey. I live in Second Ward, like you mentioned, and I'm running for city council. And a little bit of the backstory is I moved to East Orange in around 2013-14. I have 2 small children. My son is now 11 and my daughter is 7. My daughter was actually born while I was living in East Orange.
Right.
And I was working in New York, so I was commuting back and forth. And then eventually I'm now, living and working in East Orange, New Jersey. And, at first I was one of those commuters who just commuted back and forth and wasn't really paying too much attention to what was going on in East Orange. And then I began to start paying attention. I think probably within the first year. I got my children involved in some of the local activities. My son started playing football with the East Orange Rams. I became a teen mom almost immediately. I then became president of the parent association and started taking on a lot of those administration roles. So immediately became part of that sort of parents and community of parents. And then I noticed certain things, like Oval Park was in much disrepair. We had no working lights. So I kind of started my advocacy to city council, what's going on down here. I started researching Oval Park, researching the history of East Orange, looking at the budget, saying some of these things aren't making sense to me. We have this community of money, community of resources. Why are we not advocating, or why are we not allocating these resources to certain things? So research, communicating, advocating for just what I saw as immediate need of children for services. That kind of spearheaded my eye opening to what else is there out here in East Orange that needs sort of attention or my eyes on.
Did you get those lights?
Well, I think now they work 7 years later, but at the time, no. But it would rain down there. It was flooding. We had mosquitoes. The playground for small kids was in disrepair. I found out such great history about the park itself. The Negro League played there. The Northern Tornadoes played there. Amazing things about East Orange that is not celebrated or even talked about in terms of certain things, right? And so eventually I was able, however, to get lights donated from the emergency response because literally we were putting on our headlights and flashing them into the park and being everybody out, because it would get dark so fast that we were worried about missing kids, right? So petitioning to the city, finally we were able to get lights that were hand cranked up and
beautiful.
And used. So that was one thing. Then it became some things about like tenants and like landlord rights and making sure that like people were living in conditions that were like satisfactory, and that was a whole nother sort of like can of worms, and being introduced to people who were like advocating for their buildings, me advocating for myself in my building. So there's another kind of like eye-opening situation. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Where are these ordinances? Who are they protecting? Why are we not looking at these situations with more clarity? What's going on with all these abatements? Why are we a city of 10 council people that are half times not showing up? Why are we approving 90-year abatements for no taxes? Look at our school system. Where's the money going? And so with all these things happening, I'm kind of like, right? And so,
So how did you learn how to be an organizer?
Well, I have a degree in social work. So advocating, I guess, what kind of like, and putting things in place for people have always kind of been like, I guess, my degree. But I feel like ever since I was a teenager, I've been like marching on Wall Street, not Wall Street, marching in Washington, with like my school, little rebel, I guess, my mom would say. Like kind of like, well, I don't understand this. You need to explain it to me.
Right.
And growing up in our family, like you only speak when you've been spoken to, kind of thing. But I'm like, no, I don't understand.
Right.
You need to explain to me. I need to understand why this is what it is.
Sure.
I'm the researcher. Like before I speak, I need to understand before I put myself out there.
Right.
So please explain why this is why it is, and then I need the facts to back up before I speak. Right, which is mostly all the time. So I think it kind of just naturally falls that I'm like stepping ahead of stuff because I'm like, no, this isn't right.
Right.
Which I think led to me becoming a social worker.
Sure.
Early in my career. And even now as a real estate agent, I find myself like part-time real estate agent, part-time social worker. Like still telling people like, if you're on Section 8, they can't discriminate. Like, let's go. So I have a ton of Section 8 clients that I advocate for on a regular basis, trying to get them housing, making sure that they're,
Well, let's dig into your run.
Okay.
Now, who's the gentleman that you're running against, and what is he doing wrong?
Well, I always say this, right? I'm not anti anybody. Being pro me does not mean anti somebody else. So I'm running for the seat that Christopher Alloway currently has. He's the incumbent. What he's doing wrong, I can't say. That would be, I guess, for people to decide if they want to reelect him or not. What I can say is that, from what I've heard from people in the community that I've spoken to, he doesn't have much of a presence at the moment, right? So if I had to pick something, I would say that he's not known as much as he could have been in the last 8 years.
Yes.
I would say that would probably be the biggest obstacle or the biggest thing he could have done better at would be more present in the community.
Right.
And I think that he could do more in terms of like being more accountable as to what's going on, and be more responsive as to the needs of what's going on. I think a lot of times, like the council, we have 10 council people. We have 5 wards, 2 for each ward. Our ward is made up of majority renters. He's a homeowner. A lot of our problems that we have, he most likely doesn't have.
Right.
Tenants' right issues, parking issues. So when you own your home,
you don't have that.
You don't really have those problems, and they probably don't resonate or just disconnect.
Right.
So.
Does he have an open office policy? Can you easily access him?
No.
No. So when you write a grievance, he doesn't say, "Oh, let's have a meeting ASAP."
Well, I've seen him on several correspondences, and he's never responded back. People CC me on emails. They send to him. As just a private citizen. And I've never seen him respond to anything.
Right.
Over the last 7 years.
Sure. So one of the things that I've been finding, because of course I've been talking to council people in Newark and of course in East Orange, that you have to have a love and a sensitivity for your community, where you get out there and you're engaging and you're getting all of the problems so that you can bring those to the council as well as to the mayor. And if you're not doing that, that is a crucial part of your job.
Absolutely. And I feel like that, I think that, I know if I was elected to be the council person, part of my plan would to do that. Have a committee of people, because I can't be everywhere all the time, right? So it would be part of my mission and vision to have a council of people that I can rely on in specific places, so that they could bring things to me that I can always be able to touch, so that I could bring that back to the bigger group, and be like, listen, this is going on over here, this is going on over here, and then I can relay what's going on over here to these people. I can then relay those things back to their collective people, because it's impossible, right, to be everything to everybody. But if you make the effort, I think that says a lot. But so just to be like, give me my $55,000 a year. Let me smile on these pictures on Instagram. Let me shuck and drive and call it a day, and just be happy that I'm part of this particular line is not enough anymore. Because if you're an elected official, right? Then you work for the people. The people don't have to work for you. Like, we shouldn't have to work so hard to get your attention to our problems. It should be the other way around. I should be telling you, all right, enough of you. I'm tired of seeing you. We're good over here. Please. You know, like, thank you. Stop calling me.
I think that's kind of relates to, you know, understanding that a lot of folks that get those positions, they forget about the taxpayer is the reason why they can have a salary. They forget the taxpayer is the reason why they're there in the first place. And then also that trickles down to the police situation and all those other issues. Now, give me a couple of issues that you would attack once you were elected.
There's a few. Yes.
Like education?
Definitely education in East Orange. There's a few things that, you know, during a lot of my conversations with people who ask me, I think that we need to, well, first, there's like a cycle of things, right? One, we have a lot of buildings that are going up in East Orange who are part of a pilot program, which I'm sure you're familiar with the pilot program, correct? And with that pilot program, none of those funds are going towards the school system, which scores are so low they don't even rank. They're just like an asterisk on the websites, right? So our children are failing, right? So what are we doing? We gotta put money into the system to like help either raise the scores, do something, right? You're an architect. I'm also in real estate. I've brought to the city's attention, like, why don't we do something to have like, or make an initiative to have teachers live in our community. Instead of like giving the properties away to developers who don't live here, why don't we make it a program where we can offer teachers houses here?
That's what they did in DC.
And they do it in New York as well. Right? So like, why don't we do that, where we can incentivize teachers to live here instead of having teachers drive from Milburn and Livingston, who get their $5,000 credit for on their student loans, to drive back to their towns, so their kids go to their schools, and don't teach our children so well, because why would they? But hey, if you live here, your kids go to school here, they'll probably teach better. Right? You would think. And let's do that. Let's have better teachers. Let's incentivize them to do better. Part of it. That's one thing. I also think that like we should have vocational learning in East Orange. I had a debate with Leisha and somebody else about vocational learning. Yes, we should definitely encourage students to want to go to college, but that might not be everyone's goal. But we should have vocational options for people who want to learn how to do hairdressing, who want to become architects, who want to be plumbers, who want to do things that necessarily aren't college. But we don't offer that in East Orange. Maybe we have things for like LPN, CN, but that's not necessarily everyone's goal is to be an LPN. Right? Architects, plumbers, mechanics, HVAC, barbers, entrepreneurs. Right? So let's offer that. That would be a good thing. That's one thing I would like to change in East Orange. I would also like to see maybe some oversight about, there's something that going on with the parking, some ordinances about like tenant and landlord ordinances that needs to be like really looked at to ensure that we have conditions that our tenants are living, you know, in safe and habitable apartment buildings, not just the new ones that are being built, but the ones that are already here.
Right.
Looking at the taxes, looking at those things, because with those abatements, we're pushing all the burden on the taxpayers, right? And what people don't realize is that, like, yes, we have all these pretty buildings, but guess what? You gotta hire more fire, you gotta hire more police, because per capita, and people don't realize.
Right.
They're like, yeah, we want the business, but it's costing you later on. My taxes are going up. I don't understand why.
Right.
It has to come from somewhere. Yeah. Right.
That Harrison Street, all those developments that are going on, and I even know the developer that's doing it. And those buildings are beautiful.
They're very beautiful.
Beautiful structures, and it's bringing a lot of people into the city. So of course the businesses should be reflecting of that new revenue that's coming in. But as far as you're saying, the tax abatements, we need to stop that, right?
Yes. I mean, I've been what I'll say is I've been advocating for a better look at why we offer such generous abatements to buildings or developers, and why we're allowing some developers to, like, share their other ones with other ones.
You know what, one of my answers would be to that is that brought that kind of flow of new development into the city of East Orange. I mean, I know after you got this flow started, then you can start turning off the water a little bit and not doing that anymore. But because that street's been like that for years. I used to work in East Orange on was it Evergreen? And I was at my first architecture firm was right there on that. I think it was 40 Evergreen. And it was always a city that seemed like it needed a boost. It had to get some new blood in it.
Yeah. So I agree. No, I think the buildings are beautiful. I think they did an amazing job. Yeah. I'm not anti-development. I mean, I think that it's well deserved and well needed. Yeah. But I think it also has to be affordable to the living. The prices also need to be a little bit more affordable for people who live there. Sure. What I'm saying is that, like, we need to also think about the burden that it's putting on the current taxpayer. And also make sure that people who live there can also benefit from the niceness of some of the amenities that is given.
Yeah, they say that they try to counteract these tax abatements with a lot of different incentives that they need to do with the communities. Like they need to, give some money to one of the nonprofits, or do some, fix the streets for that area.
Pave the area and stuff like that.
So that's how they kind of try to balance that off sometimes. But I definitely believe that tax abatements have to stop after a certain amount of time. As far as the other issues, like we have crime. Is there a lot of crime in East Orange?
I think.
Because I was talking to Mayor Tony Voss, and he said his two key issues is keeping the place clean and safe, and then of course the safety. If those two things are done, then you bring in new corporations that want to have franchises in your area and more development, more business. So how is that in East Orange?
Well, I think that Chief Bindy's doing a really great job in terms of crime prevention. I think that her officers are really out there, and I think they just hired some new officers recently. And I mean, I don't know the crime statistics, so don't quote me on that in terms of crime is up, crime is down. But I know that crime is definitely something that they take very seriously. And I feel like that East Orange, in terms of the cleanliness, they've done they're doing a good job in terms of cleaning the streets. They passed this new parking ordinance about not parking between certain times, which is a problem for some of the businesses and some of the local residents. That I think we need to also take another look at to see how we could probably tweak that to be a little bit more beneficial for some of the residents. But I agree. Cleanliness and crime prevention should be a top priority for every administration everywhere, especially in communities like East Orange, because that will keep certain people out that want to come in that can say, oh, well, 2 train stations, all this new development, we want to put our business there, but might kind of shy them away. But I do believe that crime is down, from my understanding. And I think in terms of the beautification of it, I think that historically East Orange was one of better homes and gardens, beautiful at one point, right? I think that we're on our way back there. Definitely with the new influx of people coming in. I think it's on its way back to hopefully that pristine sort of like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, like
look.
the neighboring, because I think, the neighboring city.
cities.
Like, what is that? South Orange is right next to East Orange, right?
I think one side borders, so you have Orange on one side, South Orange up
Mhm,
there,
mhm.
Newark on the other side.
Sure. So now one of the things that a lot of cities are dealing with is homelessness. Do you guys have to deal with homelessness in East
We
Orange?
do.
Yeah.
We do.
So what are they doing?
You know, sometimes, I mean, we don't call them homeless, we call them displaced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Displaced individuals, you know?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, I think like there's a couple places that sometimes like they're able to take them. I don't think there's a specific place that they have in East Orange.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that, you know, I know that the police department is trying to work diligently to figure out what to do with some of these people who don't have a home at the moment.
Sure.
Need some place to stay.
Sure.
And we're just kind of like migrate from place to place. But I haven't seen them recently, so I'm hoping that they were able to find, you know, some permanent place to stay.
Yeah.
And we have a couple places in the neighborhood I think they house like people with like maybe disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like there's like maybe like a transitional house.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So now, as far as you don't have any police brutality issues in East Orange?
Not that I've personally heard of,
Mm-hmm.
or anyone's brought anything to me
Your
personally.
attention. Yeah.
But
right.
I couldn't say like I mean not that I've heard of.
Oh, good. That's
Thank
good.
goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. Yeah, I mean I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I would hate to have that sort of like reputation for East Orange, like
Yeah.
you know.
You don't have any gang problems either.
I've not heard that there's a massive gang problem
Mm-hmm.
specifically in East Orange.
Yeah.
Are there gangs? I'm sure there are
Yeah.
people who belong to certain associations, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen like, you know, like West Side Story, like, you know, the Miller Street, like, you know, like.
Right. So the main issues that you have right now is your council person's engagement and the educational system. And of course, they're already working on the safety and the cleanliness of the city. So those two issues are probably your main issues to attack when you get in, or if you get in.
I mean, I think there's other issues besides like the lack of engagement. I mean, I think there's like everyday sort of like
Mm-hmm.
running of the city, things that I think people are sort of like frustrated with.
Yeah.
Other than just not being visible in the community, that I think that people could say like, this could be better, this could be better, this could be better. Like I said, I mean, of course, people complain about their taxes. People
Mhm.
complain about the streets not being paved, their tires being, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
stuff like that. People would like to see more transparency on
Mhm.
how the government, like how the administration is being run.
Yeah.
People want to feel more included in what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably like the bigger of the picture
Right.
versus than just like, oh, we don't know who that person is.
Sure.
That makes sense.
So are you already building these coalitions that are going to help you address community issues in different communities? Because if you know, and I know you're saying, what is it like when you go to the council meeting, and is it more of folks just listening to these issues and not doing anything, or is it a lot of action taking place?
Well, what I can say is that I've been attending council meetings probably since 2014.
Yes.
A lot of times it's me standing up, announcing myself,
Mm-hmm.
stating my issue. A lot of it's just like, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. So
That's pretty much it.
yeah.
So then I send an email.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sending me your email. We'll look into it. Thank you for sending me your email. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes maybe like later on I'll see something happen someplace else
Yeah.
based on my email maybe.
Right.
But that's pretty much it. Like I've never seen anything necessarily taken action. Unless
Yeah.
I threaten with further action
Mm-hmm.
about something else.
Sure.
you know, when it gets like more serious about some, you know, more serious matters, then I might see something else, you know, transpire after that. But that's generally how it works.
Yeah.
They wait for you to get tired because they figure like you'll just eventually give up.
Go away, right?
But they know like when they see me coming, generally they're kind of like, oh God, here comes Simone. What is she gonna do? What is she gonna do?
Oh wow. So that just shows me that you're gonna have a big a job ahead of you, not only just to change these community issues, but to change the culture of the environment in the council.
I think so. But the thing is, like I said, it's guess what? I live in Second Ward. I get my nails done in Second Ward, by the way. But if I got my nails done in the First Ward, I gotta drive through. Yeah. So the streets in the First Ward affect me. The streets in the Fifth Ward affect me. The park in the Fourth Ward affects me. Why does it matter?
Yeah.
It's all one city. We're 3 or 4. I mean, like.
That's it. Absolutely. And that's the reason why you should vote her into the council. Because it's all about us being united and connected. And I was looking at a poster that I guess she's going to be putting up around the city. And it has all of those things and those key components. I mean, we can show it, you can grab it. And it has all the different languages around the perimeter of it. Of course, it has the vote in the middle. Then it has the fearless leader that's going to come in and be the thorn in these folks' foot if they don't start acting on all of these different issues. And then, of course, the name and not me, us. So you just, you know, was good. It was a great segue to showing this flyer, and of course, it's a great segue for her being on Community All Unite TV, because that's what we're promoting every week. So I want to thank you. We ran out of time.
Sorry, thank you.
No, and I love the passion at the end. That was definitely a good way of ending this. And you had me at once you started getting that fire in your eye. I can see what you're gonna do if you get on council, right?
I hope so.
Yes. So thank you guys. Community All Unite TV every Thursday from 8 to 8:30 on channels 1097 and 190. We're going to keep on doing this. We're on YouTube, so please like, comment, share, subscribe, and of course, we like to get your comments because we try to make our show better based off of these comments. So I want to thank you, Simone, for coming in, and I will do anything I can to support your efforts, because like we marching in the streets is what's got to happen. These, you know, to wake these people up. I mean, they're sleeping. They've been there too long. It's time to get some new blood in it. Just like, yeah, absolutely. Thanks. Yeah, thanks again. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
Right. Community All Unite. Over and out.
Community. It's a fight now. Right now. It's a fight now. Community. It's a fight now. Head high, get ready for a fight now. It's a fight now. Eyes wide, it's now. It's a fight now. It's a fight now. Just remember and fill your heart with love now. In your truth, you find is the key now. Reach your fear and you will all be free now. Community, it's time to get better. You can't avoid it, we're all in this together. Head high, fill your heart with love and light now. Come together and it will be alright now. Come together, you can't run forever. Come together, it's now, oh, it's never. Community, kids are dying in the streets now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Community, kids are dying in the streets now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need now. Change your mind, unity is all we need.